Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having tea with me today. I'd love to have you here and come by. So you're going to have to come by this way, but this is the way it is, unfortunately. Anyway, today I'm having a little bit of Swiss chocolate with my tea, and it's called Refresh Tea. I think we all need some kind of refreshment. Things are getting worse. I found out the most dreadful news this morning. Our family, if you've been from California and you see them in the airports at Christmas especially, we all love See's Candy, and alarmingly it's said that See's Candy is closing first time since World War II. They were started in the 20s, so that must have been the other time that they closed. Anyway, See's Candy temporarily is not available. I'm grieving over it. Anyway, Swiss will do, and instead I's is a Swiss name. Or another cup of tea. Today we're going to talk about portraiture. And I'm going to, we live in an age of selfies, self-portraiture. But there was an age when portraits were only painted or drawn. And it's a live option today, and is a wonderful thing to do for your family and your friends, or for yourself really. Because what a painting does, it combines, so in most portraiture it takes a fairly long time to do, unless you're very quick. I'm going to show you today a wonderful pastel. It was done of Abigail when she was 3, and it was done very quickly. The woman did it in one day, but she was like a sergeant. She had a regular routine. We were banished from being there, and it's really quite wonderful. And I'll show you in a bit. But portraiture usually takes a long time. If it's a realist even if it's realist or impressionist, it takes more than a few days to do. And there are sittings, usually an hour or two at a time, and it may be once a week for a month, whatever. This is the first series of Tea Time with Portraiture. There's enough in this house on the 3 floors to probably provide at least a week, at least 7, 8, maybe even 9 talks on portraiture, and we'll see. But I'm going to start with these 3 today. Portraiture can be done in still life, even including a photo within the painting, to describe or tell a story. I commissioned a small painting for Twyla. I forget what birthday it was, but it was done by John Mark Snogren, who is an amazing Trompe-l'oeil artist. I think we talked about him when we talked about the icon of Christ, which I did last Sunday. By the way, Sundays are dedicated to either religious objects, paintings, or devotional things. So tomorrow's tea will be all about some devotional objects you haven't seen. In the meantime, portraiture, the reason a portrait is better than a photo in many ways is because you have to sit for so many times when it's being painted, and it's a slow process. The artist's eye captures you at that moment. The large portrait that I commented on over behind me, usually when we're having tea, I will do it another time, along with a still life that this artist has done. His name is William Swetcharnik. And he told me later, he said, he said every time he came back to paint, a few times Twyla had a headache. We had just found she was pregnant with Rachel and didn't know it until we started the painting. And I gave it to her for our 5th anniversary. We had a garden party in the backyard, very much like the Downton Abbey party we had here, and it was the hottest day of the year in June, and all of our beautifully ironed linens went limp and looked quite dreadful by the end of the evening. But we all had a lot of fun, and I presented the blank canvas to Twyla as my 5th anniversary gift. So we'll do that another day. It's a rather large painting and has lots of still life within it. But today we're going to do just 3 portraits, 2 of persons and the other still life. So have another cup of tea, and I'm going to take you upstairs, and I hope you don't get seasick as we go up the stairs. Tonight we're going to read, by the way, tonight on the Language in the Wardrobe, we're going to be reading the chapter on The Spell is Broken. It's very exciting. The White Witch is doing her thing. All right, so we're going upstairs here. I'm going to switch the camera. You don't need to see my book on the stairs. I'm going to start with the still life painting that's a portrait of, portrait of me, and this was done for an anniversary for Twyla. Sorry, my finger's in the way. I'm just getting used to roaming around here. Okay, now, this portrait contains lots of things that reflect my relationship with my wife Twyla, things that I loved about her. In the picture you see a bouquet of dried flowers. Those are, that was a bunch of white heather that I picked for her in Ireland and brought back. It's in a wonderful antique Russian, excuse me, at least 19th century Russian inkwell. And on the right, and then on the right, is a photograph of me when we were first married in Georgetown. The gallery was closed. It was sort of like what happened here, but the landlord had, there was a whole part of the back mall that hadn't been developed, and my shop was in the way, and so they had to redesign it. So we were out of business for a few months, but survived. And that's my dog Maggie, which was a lot of fun. She came into the marriage, and my favorite sweater, which is a Mickey Mouse sweater. Anyway, to the right of the painting, the little silver frame, is a pen, and it's a pearl handled, mother of pearl handled pen, which I gave Twyla as a wedding gift in an antique writing box. It's very delicate and beautiful, and Twyla loved to write letters, and amazingly today I discovered a journal I've never seen, and she wrote it, I believe, up till 1997, and she was out in California, and in the back she did a beautiful sketch of the fence and plants along a river. I didn't know that she could sketch. I wish she would have done more, but it was wonderful to find. It was like a big surprise from her. Makes me feel close to her again. Behind it is a string of pearls that I gave Twyla for another anniversary as a symbol of my love for her. And then down below here is a note and a matchbox and a card from the hotel we spent our wedding night on, and in San Francisco. It was the I'm blanking right now. It's a wonderful hotel. Anyway, I think it's a Hilton. Anyway, it's in San Francisco. It was brand new at the time, and it has a huge tower with plants and the atrium. And Twyla took this and wrote a note and stuck this in a suitcase. I think it was when I went to SIVA, and it was during Christians in the Visual Arts, and it was when I had to go by myself, and so she slipped it into my suitcase to remember our anniversary, which was very sweet. Now, on the stairwell, I'm going to have to back up here. So, first of all, this is an example of how you can do a portrait of someone with objects, and several artists of mine have done this sort of thing for someone who's passed away, someone that's beloved, like a photograph of like a grandma and grandpa or whatever, and some of their favorite things. Like Dean Larson, who did the next painting we're going to show, did one of a man who was sort of the patriarch, and he loved to roast beef and things, and so there's a favorite English silver roaster and some books and mementos that represented him. So this is a good way to do portraiture, I think. I think it's more interesting. This is in trompe l'oeil style, so it's almost three-dimensional. The way he's painted it looks like it's peeking out of the frame. The frame itself, I found, it's a 19th century fire screen. I have a small one, which I'll show you another time. It was a wedding gift, and these screens would have needlepoint or pettipoint in them, and they were for ladies sitting in front of the fire, because in those days a lot of the makeup that ladies wore were wax, and so they needed to get warm by the fire, and they would put this to shield their faces. The frame goes up and down, and they would keep their their makeup from melting. Just thought you needed to know that. All right, now I'm going to try to. These are the dolls I mentioned yesterday. I'm going to try turning this and see if it'll do it. No. It won't do it. All right. So I'm going to go down one more step so you can see the whole painting. Sorry about this. This is a portrait of Rachel, my daughter Rachel, when she was, I think about 11. I'm just not sure. It was after we lived in Arlington, and this is the stairs of our front hall in Arlington. And Dean painted it at the bottom of the stairs, and sometimes he had to back up into the bathroom, the guest bathroom, to get the perspective. In this, there are several things that are included that are not really there. They were somewhere else. Up here, there's a portion of a painting, the one of Twyla, just to anchor it in time. That's the thing about portraits. Photos, too, will anchor things in time, but it's only a moment. This was a whole period of our life where we lived and where our girls grew up. If you look toward the back, there's a window, and that's the breakfast room where we ate every meal, just about, except when guests came. And there's a a purple disc. That's a stained glass disc from the National Cathedral with the cross on it. And we had that sitting in the window. We looked at that every day, and we had all kinds of personal things, including a silk screen of Eureka, California, where Twyla grew up and loved. So this is a 19th century frame, and I had it painted. I got the canvas to fit it, and Dean Larson did this. This dress was also from Just So, and was one of the dresses that was in the Metropolitan Museum in New York, or no, the Fashion Institute, sorry, in the mansion uptown. All right, so now we're going to the next. I'm not sure how I'll do this. I may have to fall up. Let's see. All right, here we go. I tried this. I couldn't really do it very well. This is a pastel portrait by a Jean Plunkett. It was done in 1990. And Abigail was 3.5. That's right. This is the most amazing. This is a pastel sketch. She was quite famous in Washington and painted for many years. She was probably my age when she did this. And you saw that dress actually yesterday up in the toy room. She's got Abigail completely. The eyes, everything, and the hair. And we always commented every time we would take Abigail out for a stroll in her stroller. If we were in a mall, because her hair was so dark, it seemed that Asian people just were immediately attracted to her and noticed her when others didn't. Anyway, she has my Welsh light skin and dark hair, and I just love this portrait, and I love Rachel and my daughter Abigail so much, and I love having these portraits because these kind of anchor when who they were when they were young. And again, even if it's done in a day, I feel like she really got Abigail's personality in this painting. It really comes out at you. The frame is a beautiful one. It's an early 20th century arts and crafts frame. I'll try to see if I can do it for you here so you can see it better. Oh, that's much better. Should have done that to begin with, but the light isn't as good on the painting. So again, I found the frame and then had the painting done. Anyway, I'm so thrilled that I have these now that my children are grown and Twyla is no longer with me. Our next portraiture will be 2 or 3 paintings by an artist friend of ours that painted Twyla and the girls and myself. And another time you'll see another painting of mine. I have quite a few portraits in the house. It's embarrassing. Anyway, it's wonderful having you here today, and I wanted to just close again. I'm going to turn around here. I wanted to close again today with a reminder to everyone. This is a cross that's just short of 500 years old, and it belonged to an old believer, which was a sect in Russia in the early 1600s. And there's part of it is missing. The top is missing. There are 2 cherubim, and I'm not sure what's the middle is, but anyway, there are 2 cherubim. It could be Jesus as a baby. And the part that's missing, that's broken off, was a something close to the Shroud of Turin, but it's just the face of Jesus. I believe the original was in Byzantium, and it's, I think, somewhere in Italy now, but it's just the face of Jesus. Then below, he's on the cross with Cyrillic, and then the O when you're looking at it, on the O on the right and the left, is Alpha and Omega. I love the primitive form of the corpus. And then look, it has the gall and the spear, and the feet are tilting up like this cross, which I mentioned yesterday or whenever it was. It points to the only man that Jesus said, today you'll be with me in paradise, and that's who we are to follow, and Jesus. And below it is the tomb of Adam and the skull of Adam. And if you've gone to the Holy Sepulchre, there is actually a cave that represents that. It's quite interesting. Anyway, I present this again today. There you go. So that you will pray for people who are dying alone and for martyrs. There are political prisoners, there are Christian martyrs, there are people dying all over the world, and especially with this plague, people are dying everywhere. I got really disturbing news from my friend Anna Coleman, who from New York City, the Harlem Macedonia Baptist Church in Harlem, the pastor, longtime pastor, I believe is Jacobs. He died, and it turned out he died of coronavirus, and his wife replied on the post, his last words was reaching out and saying, "I love you," to the window, but she couldn't be there in person. She had to be on the other side. So if you would remember their family and all the others who are dying alone, it's really important that we remember them. So tonight we're going to talk about the magic. Spell is leaving, and I look forward to seeing you all. And again, this will be posted on Facebook Live, and we're developing a page called, at least at this point, my production manager and technical assistant we haven't quite got it set up yet, be called Jerry at Home, and we will have all the broadcasts on that, as well as live, and then also also on YouTube. So they'll be on YouTube as well as Jerry at Home and live. So look forward to seeing you soon. And hi, everybody. Peter, Martha, good to see you. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll be talking tomorrow about some devotional objects. And I just got the message from my technical assistant that the page will be called At Home with Jerry. So glad to have you all with me. I hope you finish your tea, and I hope you have some chocolate. I don't know what we're going to do without C's. The other thing we can't do without is, if any of you ever go to Richmond when we can travel, there's the most amazing bakery called Sub Rosa. And we tried to see if we could order something, and they're all out of everything. All they have is not exactly breadsticks, shortbread, and biscotti. Their pastries are amazing, especially their fig pear pastry and their chocolate croissant rival anything in France. So if you ever get down to Richmond, it's on Church Hill, and it's called Sub Rosa. Hope your day goes well, and look forward to seeing you tonight and tomorrow. God bless.